What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sivaady Unleashed, and let's just get right into this one. So we have Stacey Plaskett, this Democrat from the Virgin Islands, which is interesting because that's where the Epstein Island is located. Now, this woman had a text message exchange back and forth with Jeffrey Epstein in 2019 during a congressional testimony hearing with Michael Cohen, this lying scumbag. So she was speaking back and forth to Jeffrey Epstein. Could you imagine if a Republican had done this, right? Or it was out there. Let's say any Republican you want to name. Could you imagine how the media would react? We already know how they would react. The media is largely completely ignoring this story. So what do the Republicans do? They do the right thing. Let's censure this woman. Let's get her out of here. Just like they should have done with Eric Swadwell and all these other scumbags that these people allowed just to linger around Congress, and they never deal with these people. So they bring this up to censure her. I wonder what happened. Let's hear real quick, though, from Clay Higgins. Clay Higgins was the single vote that was the nay vote to release the Epstein files. And we all know, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb. I think he did it for this reason here.
She's a good lady from the Virgin Islands. Where did Jeffrey Epstein live? In the Virgin Islands. She was a constituent in 2019. Was she a friend in 2007? During her service to the DOJ, which my friend has brought up, was there any interactions? These are the questions we have. The good lady from the Virgin Islands has crossed the threshold of reasonable suspicion, and therefore she should be investigated. During said investigation by ethics, and I would recommend by DOJ, and I would recommend by oversight and judiciary committees. Meanwhile, she should absolutely be removed from the House Select Committee on Intel.
So he brings out several valid points. So they go to censure her. What happens? It fails. You have 3 Republicans that voted against it and 3 others that voted present. So she is allowed just to escape with a zero accountability. And then you had Jamie Raskin who said this. So Raskin is accusing them of robbing her right to due process. They never cared about due process before, but now all of a sudden they do. Without even going to ethics committee, much less a court, they want to arraign her on some charges based on a newspaper article. And then right down here, she took a phone call from one of her constituents, Raskin said. So what I'm getting at with this whole thing, and it's great that the Epstein vote completely went through and all that. It was pretty much unanimous outside the Clay Higgins, which he did it, I believe, to have that little moment and shine that moment and get his name more in the spotlight to try to point out what was happening with this fraud, this Stacy chick. But that's great that the files are out there. Let's hold these people accountable and all that. The Democrats just work in a different way. The Republicans constantly show how weak they are. The Democrats have no problem getting people out of committees, arresting people, arresting Trump's entire campaign, indicting them 4 times, moving people out of the DOJ to put him in this place, to move him over here, to make sure that he's indicted, to try to bankrupt his companies, on and on. We talked about it before. The Democrats show no mercy, and the weak Republicans still sit up there and let somebody as phony as she is get off the hook. One of her constituents in the Virgin Islands, she's a House member in the Virgin Islands. That seems a little funny, doesn't it? So what does this mean in the whole grand scheme of things? The Republicans are not going to be able to deliver some of these big items that Trump wants to get through, like voter ID, citizenship verification, constitutional carry in all 50 states, all of these items, because it just shows that when push comes to shove, they are too weak to do what's necessary. That's why they didn't get rid of the filibuster. The Democrats, as soon as they get in, that's what they're doing. They don't have to worry worry about Joe Manchin and all these other people. They're going to get rid of John Fetterman. John Fetterman's been talking reckless. He'll be done. They're not worried about him whatsoever. That's how the Democrats work. They're all in unison. They may be scumbags and all this other stuff, but they all fall in line for the better of what they're trying to accomplish. When they're trying to get something done, they all fall in line. Unlike the Republicans, where they can't even hold up a simple censure vote. Why isn't this chick being raked over the coals? If she was a Republican, she would be getting raked over the coals. So why not? They let all these people, Eric Swalwell with the Chinese spy. Could you imagine if the roles were reversed on that? So that's just my whole overall frustrating part about this. Great that the list is going to get released. Let's get all these files out there so we can make sure that whoever's implicated can be exposed. But even in that, in the little bit of nugget where the Republicans could have got even a small win, getting these scumbags, these treasonous individuals out of these positions, they still drop the ball. They still can't deliver the goods. And that's why I have all the faith in President Trump. But as far as these people all through sprinkled out in the House and the Senate, that's why I have no faith in them delivering on big items of his agenda that he wants to get through. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll be able to compromise with these people that shut down the government because they love illegals so much. Maybe I just don't know what I'm even looking at nor talking about. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next one.